5 ornaments in 5 minutes using Styrofoam brand foam from the Dow Chemical Company. So the first one we're going to make uses buttons, and if you're like me, you probably have piles and piles of buttons. And what we're going to use is straight pins to hold the buttons to the Styrofoam ball. I'm using a 4-inch ball here, but Styrofoam balls come in all different sizes from 1 inch to 12 inch, so you could make these whatever size you want. Once you cover your button or your ball in the different buttons, you'll want to put some other color buttons perhaps on top. We're using red, but you could use whatever color that you want. The next ornament is covered in paper flowers, and all you need is a craft punch and some paper, and then you'll want to just make a zillion little flowers. And you could use whatever color paper you want. If you're like me, you have a ton of scrapbook paper laying around as well. So what I've gone ahead and done is strung a couple flowers onto a pearly red straight pin, and then you're just going to push those into your Styrofoam ball. The next ornament is covered in fabric, and what you'll need is a rubber band and whatever size ball you want to use, and you'll need to find the center of the ball, and that's where this rubber band comes in. So go ahead and slide that onto your ball shape, and then use a permanent marker and scoot the rubber band off just a little bit to the side, and then mark your line all the way around the ball. And you'll want to repeat that about 3 times. Once you get your lines, use a skewer or craft knife to carve into the ball right down the lines. And you'll want to do that so it's somewhat deep. And you'll see why in the next step. We're going to cover it in fabric, and I've got a piece that I've already cut here. You can see you just pin your pattern, and we have all these patterns on the website, styrofoamcrafts.com, and you'll cut around your pattern, and I've got one started here, and then use your skewer, pin the fabric in place, and then use your skewer to actually just push that fabric down into the crevice where you carved in, like so. And you'll just punch that on in and around. And I've got one that I've gone ahead and covered right here. And there's still a few pins in there. It's okay to go ahead and leave those in place. And then finish it up with some pretty trim pinned in place with some pearly straight pins. And you'll just go on around. And you could also glue this on, but it looks kind of spectacular with the pins left in place, and it's easier. So we're just going to leave those in. The next ornament also uses ribbon. And what you're going to do is just pre-cut some ribbon pieces to fit around your ball. Come on around. And then I've got a pin holding the other side in place. And then pin it, or you could glue it. Once you get your ball entirely covered in ribbon, you can go around the outside with another contrasting color of ribbon. And then I've gone ahead and strung some beads onto some pearly red head pins and stick them in place. And that looks really pretty as well. And like I said earlier, you could do these in whatever color you're decorating with this holiday season. Lastly is the pineapple covered ball. And this one, you start with a 2-inch square of scrapbooking paper. And then you're going to cut some slits about a 1/2 inch in around each of the edges, 2 or 3 times. And what this is going to do is give you a little bit of leeway so that when you tack the square onto the ball, it conforms. And you'll see here in a minute. So I've got that all covered up, and you can see I've got one already tacked into place, and see how that fits nicely around the ball. The next thing you're going to do is cut several 1-inch by 4-inch strips, and then start by folding them in half like so, and then open it back up, and in the middle you're going to kind of fold it like you would a paper airplane, the 2 sides down, so it makes an even point. Then you can begin by covering the square. And you're just going to tack this in place. Make sure the seam is facing upward. And you're just going to tack this around with straight pins around on either side. And then do the other side. And I've got one started here. and you can see all the points with the seams spacing out. And then just continue around the diameter of the ball, covering it. And you'll keep going and going and going until you have covered your entire styrofoam ball. That's 5 ornaments in 5 minutes using Styrofoam brand foam from the Dow Chemical Company.